What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way Season 5, The Tell All Part 1. So we have finally made it to the tell all. So when they start showing the castmates arriving on set and they're all talking to each other in the green room or the back room or whatever that little room is called, I see this black man on my television screen and I was like, who the hell is that? Y'all, I completely forgot about Julio and Kirsten left the show so early on. I never gave them a second thought after they broke up and were no longer featured on the show because there was no plans of him moving to the Netherlands, and so they didn't show them anymore, and I completely forgot about them. So we see Julio and Kirsten, or we see Julio in the very beginning, and Holly shows up, and we see that Holly had lightened her hair, which I think is a much better look for her. She doesn't look as, Princess of Darkness, Elvira-ish with that long black hair. So I think her lightened hair is a big improvement. And then Danielle shows up and she has an agenda. She plans to bury Johan on this tell-all and to completely ruin his reputation. So it's funny to me how whenever somebody with a very thick accent or someone who speaks a different language, when they say, like for example, Johan, I think this was when Sean was greeting everybody on stage and Johan says, Hola, they feel the need to translate Hola to hello. Like, doesn't everybody know that Hola means hello? I think that's just kind of funny. So Danielle and Johan, they're still separated. She's still living in the DR, but they are, I guess, like officially separated in their marriage. Holly has been living in the US for 4 months. And that's a very long time to be away from your husband, especially when you have just gotten married. And also there was some talk there that maybe there was no communication between Holly and Wayne, that they haven't talked in a while or something, but we'll get to them, I guess, much later. But Holly is living in the US and she's been living here for 4 months away from her husband. So we touched just a tiny bit on Shayna and Sarper when Sean is greeting them, and Shayna says that this is the best relationship that she's ever been in. Is that really Shayna sitting on that stage, or did Sarper invent an AI or some type of automaton or robot or something? Because the last time that we saw Shayna on the regular season, it seemed like she had a lot more backbone and she was a lot more combative with him. Not combative, but it seemed like she was really standing her ground with him than she was on that tell-all stage, because she was telling him that she was not going to have any more kids. She was telling him that she was going back to the hotel. She was packing her stuff. And it seemed like she was really trying to stand, like she had a backbone. She was arguing back with him. But the Shayna on the tell-all stage, I was like, who is this? Like, what did he do to her? Because for her to say that this is the best relationship that she's ever been in, I know that's hard for us to believe, but maybe that just shows how horrible and crappy her other relationships were to make this relationship her best relationship, because this is by far not it, Shayna. So they talk about Sarper's, 2,500 women that he had been with, and they talk about STDs, and Shayna says that she always makes her boyfriends get an STD test, and then Sarper very quickly interrupts her and says, don't talk about your past relationships, because he's just that insecure that he doesn't even want her to mention past relationships in the context of, what she does to stay safe. So we finally get the reunion, or the tell-all, officially started with TJ and Kimberly. So joining TJ and Kimberly, or joining the tell-all in general, so they brought back some OGs from past seasons, which is fine. They brought back Tim, okay, who looks like a very beautiful trans man. They brought back Tim. They brought back I'm gonna forget everybody's name. It doesn't even really matter. Kalani, and they brought back the guy from Moldova. I forgot his name. So they brought them back, I guess, for them to give their 2 cents. I'm not really sure why, which was okay. I was fine with that. And they also brought back Jennie and Submit. So when we were on the TJ and Kimberly segment, this is when Jennie and Submit had a lot to say. So Kimberly, she is still living in India in the little apartment, or the pretty big apartment that TJ had built for her above the family home. Everybody on stage agreed that when Kimberly arrived in India and she began to nitpick all of the things that were wrong with the apartment, everybody pretty much agreed that she was just, being overly critical, and that she was overreacting to all of those things, and she wasn't looking at the bigger picture, that this man is accommodating your very unique specific need, when you really should be living in the main house with everybody else, because you're the one that signed up to go live in India and to join your husband and his family and to immerse yourself in his culture. But now you want him to build this extravagant apartment above the family home. I don't know if he built it from scratch or if there was already some type of structure there that he just kind of improved on. I have no idea. But whatever it was, he had to take out a $12,000 loan for this, and he has 7 years to pay that off. Kimberly says that she had no idea until that moment on that stage. She had no idea that TJ took out that loan, because she says something about how I don't know if it was his culture or just TJ himself, that he wasn't going to talk about such things until they got married. But even after they got married, I guess she still didn't know, because this was a complete surprise to her at the actual tell-all. So everybody, like I said, when she was being overly critical, it was just like, it was rude. It was, she was being, it just wasn't right, because he did this big thing for her to accommodate her, because his family doesn't need that structure above their home. She doesn't want to live with them. He said, okay, fine, I'll build you something else. And she should have been happy with that. No matter if, the floorboards were missing or whatever. Okay. It doesn't matter. He built this thing for you. You were not appreciative. And the thing was, it wasn't even complete. He was still working on it. So he could have, if it was me, he could have built me a tree house. He could have built me, a Toys R Us tree house, and I would have been just fine with that. But, she was kind of like, whatever, being very negative. So Jennie and Submit come in, and Jennie was like on 100 with Kimberly. She was completely on 100. So she was telling Kimberly how disrespectful she was towards her husband, his family, the whole entire country of India. When at some point, during the season, Kimberly had said that she hated India. That rubbed Jennie and Submit the wrong way. And so Jennie called her entitled and said that she was a spoiled brat. And then Kimberly responds by calling her the C word. So when she called her the C word, obviously they bleeped it out. And I had to go and rewind and see, like lip read to see, did she really call her the C word, or did she call her the B word? And she called her the C word, which to me, that word is just below the B word. It's just like the lowest thing that you can call a woman, and coming from another woman. And that's what makes it even worse. It's like when a woman calls that to another woman, it's just like, you would not want to be called that yourself. I think that, all of us can take a lot, but that word to me, that we were drawing the line right there. So she called Jennie the C word, and what Jennie was saying was absolutely the truth. She was acting entitled because she complained about everything. Nothing was up to her standard, and she was acting like a spoiled brat because she wasn't even trying to give the family a chance at all. Kimberly, what does your father have to say about you calling somebody else that word, and your stepmother? What do they have to say about that? That's what I want to know. So when she called her the C word, Jennie was like, come to India. I'd love to meet you, little girl. And, her and Kimberly, they go back and forth. Armando says, Kim, that, you're being disrespectful to her. And Kimberly said, I don't think I'm being disrespectful. How could you not think you're being disrespectful when you call somebody that word? If you disagreed with Jennie and her calling you entitled and a spoiled brat, that's fine. But can you argue, or can you debate, or can you disagree like an adult, like a respectful human being, and just say, I just respectfully disagree with you. I don't think I'm spoiled or I'm a brat or anything like that. Instead of calling people names, people have always said, and I know y'all have heard this, that when you resort to calling people names in the middle of an argument, you have nothing else to say. Either you know that you have nothing to stand on, you have nothing intelligent to add, you have no way to intelligently defend yourself, you don't know how to use your words, and so then you resort to the name calling like a little kid. So she's like, no, I don't think I'm being disrespectful at all. And she says that she doesn't think that she was being disrespectful to India. Now, they played the clip of her turning into that she-devil where she was screaming at TJ and, she was just, acting all crazy and animalistic and yelling and all that stuff that she did. They showed that clip. If I was Kimberly, I would have just, crawled behind the couch and not be seen again and just disappear, because that was embarrassing to have to go back and watch. She has to have felt embarrassed, completely humiliated to see herself acting like that and to know that people were watching her act like this. So they asked TJ, have you ever seen her act like this before? Has she ever been this feral before? And TJ was like, no, that's the first time that I've ever seen that. And so Kim says, Kim is, she needs to be evaluated. I don't know what else to say. But after watching that clip and after her husband says, no, I've never seen her act like that before, in a very sweet, innocent little girl voice, Kim says, well, me and TJ, we're just learning each other. But girl, what do you have to say about that behavior of you screaming like that, like you were completely out of your mind? What do you have to say to that specifically? I want you to address that scene where you just started howling like a werewolf at the moon. What do you have to say about that? So TJ says that, the situation between them, sometimes it could get so bad that he goes downstairs with his family and he never comes upstairs, and that they've gone as long as 3 days without talking to each other. Y'all just got married. So I'm pretty sure that, it doesn't even matter. There's like no future, because Kim doesn't want to take any accountability. She doesn't want to be responsible at all for her actions. She has an excuse and a justification for all of her wrong behavior. She's extremely rude and disrespectful. I'm pretty sure there's a lot that TJ is not telling us of how she acts around him and his family. I'm pretty sure there's a whole lot. Are they going to bring the brother out? Because I would love to hear what the brother has to say, because for TJ to not even want to talk to his wife for 3 days, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Y'all need to find your way. If y'all really want to stay together, y'all need to find your way to a marriage counselor ASAP, or just end it, because this behavior right here, it's completely unacceptable. So moving on to Shayna and Sarper. So they start off with showing clips of Sarper being like abusive to Shayna. I don't know how else to say it. Making her get on that scale, telling her that she needs to be within a certain weight range. The way that he yanked that lollipop out of her mouth and threw it on the ground until it cracked. They showed that. And I'm thinking, what are y'all people thinking when they are playing back y'all's worst behavior? Kimberly screaming at her husband, yelling for no reason. Sarper making his fiance get on a scale, yanking the lollipop out of her. Like, what are y'all feeling when y'all are watching back and watching this behavior? So Sarper says, so they talk about, I think somebody asked him, so what do you think about her weight now? Is she within her target weight? And Sarper knew that he messed up by making her get on that scale. So he says, oh, she looks good right now. She's in good form right now. So Shayna says that, Sarper had left her a message about how he wanted her to behave or how he wanted her to appear for the tell-all. And she was like, it was really encouraging. Like, he was telling me what I should wear and whatever. whatever. And they were looking at her like, what? And so she goes, let me play it for you so that you'll see, like from the tone of his voice, that he wasn't being controlling. He wasn't being mean to me. He was actually just being very helpful. So she plays his voicemail message to her, and he says to her on the message that he tells her what to eat, what not to eat. He tells her to stay away from carbs. He told her what to wear and how to sit on the couch. He told her and how to apply her makeup. He says, don't contour your lips because you make them look bigger. And she was okay with this. And everybody on stage was like, Shekinah, this is bad. This is wrong. You shouldn't have to put up with this. And Shekinah was defending him. And she was like, I don't understand why y'all are saying that. He's just helping me. Do you hear the tone of his voice? He's talking very, very nice. Y'all, I don't know if Shekinah was putting on an act because they know that this is what's controversial about them. And so this is going to garner a lot of attention and it's going to make them popular and memorable. Or if she was truly been brainwashed and conditioned and groomed. I don't know what's going on here, but it wasn't, whatever was going on that stage with Shekinah and Sarper was absolutely 1,000% worrisome, wrong, troublesome, inappropriate. It just wasn't right. So she's defending him and she says something like, well, I see him as our leader and he's leading us to what? To a psychosis? Like, y'all, she said this. This is why I'm like, this must be an act, because during the season, when the season ended, she was telling him the business about, get out of my face. I'm not having any kids with you. I'm leaving. And now she's like, oh, he's our leader and he's leading us. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to put too much on it because this just might all be an act for them to get popular. I don't know, to get a spinoff. I don't know. I'm always second guessing these people and what their true agenda is because anyways. So she said that she likes to be, well, I don't know if it was him or her, but one of them said that she likes to be controlled and he likes to control. So they're trying to make us believe that they're in this, consensual, submissive, dominant, submissive type of relationship, because she's supposedly, according to Sarper, she likes to be controlled and he likes to control. So kind of like 50 Shades of Grey kind of nonsense or something like to that effect. That's what they want us to believe. If this is true, if what's happening is real, that's what they want us to believe. But you cannot be in a dominant, submissive type of thing when it's not 100% consensual. And I don't think it's 100% consensual because he has to brainwash her in order for her to follow through, in order for her to play her part, for her to be the submissive. He has to basically brainwash her. Now, y'all, I don't want to get too much into that kind of stuff because I'm not an expert in that, but this is not that. This is not that. This is not 50 Shades of Grey. This is not, dom sub type of thing. This is not that. This is you being very controlling, and this is you being very abusive. That's it. Don't try to sugarcoat it. Make it seem like it's all, sexy and shiny. Oh, we're doing this dom sub thing. No. So they say that her sister declined to be on the tell-all because Shekinah and her sister had a falling out, but Shariah, her sister, did have a message, and in the message she basically says what she had been saying all season was that, Shekinah, this is not a good relationship for you. And y'all, the only thing that could make me believe that this is possibly real, that Shekinah really is this brainwashed and this damaged by this man, is the expression on her sister's face. Her sister looked very pained and very worried about Shekinah. So the message that she left was that, he's not a good guy for you. We don't like him. This is not healthy. You could do better. And then I loved it when she said, I would talk directly to Sarper, let him know exactly what I think, but he just doesn't have the mental capability to understand. Okay, so Shekinah says that her family is very negative towards her relationship and that she hasn't talked to any of them. And they asked her, exactly who have you not talked to? And she says, all 5 of my sisters and my mom. Now, when she said she didn't talk to her sisters, it's okay, fine, whatever. But your mom? You're going to not talk to your mom either? So she hasn't talked to her family at all, period. since she's been living in Turkey with this man. And so this, to me, the only thing that I could think of was like, this is a sign of an abuser, because what does an abuser do? One of the main things that an abuser will do is they'll try to separate you from your support system. And he did that. Check. That's done. He has separated her from her support system. He has made her believe that she somehow needs him to go through life. Like, she needs him to tell her what to wear. She needs him to tell her what to eat. So she feels like she's kind of dependent on him. And so, he has her believing, okay, like I said before, like, he has her believing that this is some type of, dominant, submissive type of situation. And it's not. That's not what it is, because she's not doing this voluntarily. She's doing it voluntarily in the sense that she's been brainwashed. So she thinks that this is what she wants. But he had to condition her to get to that point. So, I wonder if there's something else that I kind of wonder, because he's so controlling of her. I wonder if she has like an OnlyFans account that he has control over. I wonder if he's pimping her out like that. But Shayna and Sarper, this is an abusive relationship. We can say, well, but she's an adult and this is what she wants to do, and she's making her own choices. But he has worked her brain, and you can manipulate an adult. He has worked her brain into believing that she's not worthy without him, and she hasn't talked to her family. This is not normal. This is not right. A part of this is her own doing. I would say maybe 30% her fault, 70% his fault. He's doing something to this, and Shayna, when I was watching the season, Shayna kind of came across as somebody who needs to be validated by a man. And I think that when you have a guy like Sarper, who maybe kind of like maybe idolizes or only wants to be with women who the majority of the people will consider to be very beautiful women, and now he's looking at you and he wants to be with you, and then you're like, oh my God, if his other girlfriends all look like this and he only dates these type of women, and now he wants to be with me, then I must be one of the beautiful ones. And so she kind of seeks some type of validation from a guy like that. I don't know what's going on. I'm not a psychotherapist, but there's a psychotherapist would have a field day with Shayna and Sarper. You could write a whole book on just this couple alone. Moving on. Okay, so then they go on break. So during the break, they're backstage eating, and Kenny asks Kimberly, do you regret calling Jennie the C word? And Kimberly was like, no, I don't regret it. Not at all. She was very defensive, because even Shayna, sweetheart, my cupcake. No, ma'am. No, don't sit up there, Shayna. Please do not criticize. Please, Shayna, I implore you, do not criticize anybody else's relationship. Okay, when this man has turned you into an AI or an automaton, or something is going on with you. Okay, you're not human. You're not thinking for yourself. I don't know what kind of controls he has installed in your brain, and he's controlling you from Turkey. Girl, don't sit up here and criticize and say anything about anybody else's relationship. You are not in a position to do that, Shayna. Please don't. Because out of everybody on that stage, I think you might be in the worst situation. Moving on to Julio and Kirsten. They haven't spoken since their breakup. So they play the breakup scene when she had went back to the Netherlands, and they were FaceTiming each other, and she was questioning him about whether or not he's even going to come to the Netherlands. And he was like giving her very vague responses, until finally he was like, yeah, I'm not going. I'm not really feeling this. And she started crying, and she was trying to understand why. And he wasn't giving her an explanation. And then, it was really sad. It was really difficult to watch, because she was really heartbroken. And he was just kind of like, I don't know what you want me to say. Okay, it is what it is. And she's like, this is all you're going to say to me, and he was laughing, and it was really difficult to watch. He was being really inappropriate, talking to this woman that you supposedly love, and you were going to marry and move to her country and start this life with her, and she's crying and her heart is breaking, and you're just really indifferent and nonchalant about it. It was bad. So they play the breakups. Okay, so Julio says that, oh, by the way, he says his name is Julio, not Julio. He says in Europe they pronounce it Julio, and he just never corrected them, but he wants to be called Julio. Julio says that he could have handled that scene a whole lot better. I'm glad he acknowledged that. So Julio starts off by acting kind of like, he's going to take accountability. He's a responsible man. He's mature. He's going to admit when he's wrong. He's going to try to do the right thing. But then it kind of wasn't like that. So Sarper asks, so we all know that Sarper is extremely misogynistic, right? You can be with women, cisgender, all of that, but you can also hate women. You can be with women and also hate women. And I kind of see, anyways, that's a whole nother topic. So Sarper says, or she must have cheated on you, or did she cheat on you? He's asking Julio this. Like, it has to be her fault. She must have done something wrong. And Kirsten says that she had a really good friend that she would communicate with, that she would text with, and Julio didn't like it. And so Sarper was like, I knew it. So Julio thinks that Kirsten was cheating on him, and Kirsten denies it. She was like, it was just a friend. Nothing happened between us. And so Julio was like, well, why did you erase all the text messages between you and him? I don't know what she said to that. It got really confusing to me as far as like what was going on with Kirsten's text messages to this other man that she claims was just a good friend of hers. I don't really know what was going on there. She didn't want him to see, or he did see, and he thought, he did see the text messages. He did see them, but he didn't like how they were communicating with one another. And the most that he said to us was that he didn't like the fact that they will call each other mommy and poppy. He didn't like that. He thought that was inappropriate. Like, that's kind of vague, that's really vague. He really didn't give us like really anything to sink our teeth into, to be like, yes, Kirsten was cheating. It was just, he didn't like how it was really vague. Like, he didn't like what they were calling each other, and he didn't really say much of anything. And so then he says that he confronted her about it, and he was interrogating her about this other guy, and he was recording that exchange. And so the episode ended at that point where he was about to play the recording, where supposedly, she said something very incriminating. But Kirsten said that it wasn't me. It was him that was cheating, because he had met another girl while me and him were together. There's something about Julio that's kind of slick shady to me. Like, I feel like he came with an agenda to throw the first rock at her, basically to make her look bad, or to have people question her behavior and her character, because he probably knew that she was going to bring up something about him. So he wanted to be on the offense instead of having to be on the defense. And so he starts off with this whole vague relationship that she has with this other guy, where I feel like you would have given us a lot more if she was, like, just, you had no doubt that she was cheating. You would have given us something a little bit more concrete. But maybe it's coming in the next episode. Maybe he's going to have something more revealing to show us about Kirsten cheating. I don't know. But I feel like he's slick shady. I feel like he was up to no good. I feel like he wanted to break up with her so that he could move on to something else. That's what I feel like was going on with Mr. Julio. And that is my review, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.